Hello friends, and thank you for being here with me and watching this video, which is number 5 in a series of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 videos, and all about INFJ advice. If you have missed the prior ones, highly encourage you to go back. Links are in stuff throughout. They're all over the place. Like, you guys know how to work YouTube, sure, especially since all of you are pretty much home right now anyway. So there's that. Speaking of, you're probably wondering, why am I in a shirt and tie? Why am I in a hat and my glasses? So just here's the thing. If I look out that way, it's because that's where the world is. The world's a little nuts right now, and it's hard to feel good about being locked inside your own house and not able to go anywhere or do the things that you're used to doing. When I get this way, I tend to get into a mood, and it helps me. I don't know if you're like this, but it helps me to not just sit at home in my pajamas all day, every day. And so when I start to feel like I'm getting dragged down a little bit, I like to look nice. And so this is me feeling better. I'm external feelinging, I don't know. I'm FEing my emotions. So I can just feel like a decent person that is put together and all of those things. I would highly encourage you to try it. Sometimes I'll do this. Usually when I'm taking the most number of like selfies and trying to look good is when I am at my most kind of not depressed, but just sort of dragged down. So my mood is much better now that I have all of this going because I feel good now. So it's perfect timing to talk about this video, which is, I forget the title. What's the title? Right. Okay. So how to follow your heart and stay sane. Obviously, the staying sane thing is something that I'm having a hard time with. How to follow your heart and stay sane. So it is really important that you have watched the prior videos in this series because all of that kind of comes together in this one. And I want to talk about some of the things that you'll recognize when you're starting to fall in love, and some of the things that you can do to sort of protect yourself from running away with that, like an out of control freight train, so to speak. We're INFJs, like love is such an issue for us because we just kind of get taken over by everything. So let's have a conversation about this. What do you say? First thing is, all right, I want you to understand some of the cognitive function stuff that I want to talk through. The first one, if I'm looking this way, just like in the other ones, it's because I have some notes written here. That's why my glasses are on, so I can see the screen better. And just wanted to talk through some of these. First one is, you have empathy, and it's there because of your FE, right? Your external feeling, which is your auxiliary function. And that empathy is soaking in the emotions and feelings of other people. It's something that has us craving harmony, and it's something that has us being kind of people pleasers in such a way. So it is important to understand just some basic stuff about your functions and how they work in terms of falling in love, falling for somebody, falling into a relationship, and then protecting yourself that you're not getting carried away or doing something that's ultimately just bad for you. Next one is, you want deep connections and experiences. Remember, as an INFJ, you're not a surface level person. And so you want to feel things deeply. It's in your nature. And it's that language that you speak, is that language of emotion and that language of feelings. And it's critical to you. And a lot of times when it's dismissed by somebody, that can hurt more than just direct words, but just you being the person that reaches out and says, I feel this way. Not to say that it's not returned, but when it's not returned in the same way, that's something that can cut you and can cut pretty deep. I've been there, people. I've really, really been there. The next thing is, you want to bond, and you want to bond with other souls in this universe. There's this thing I keep thinking, and I've probably mentioned it on a video before. Maybe I haven't. I don't recall. And as INFJs, we're those abstract thinkers. And so something that I always think about is stars, the universe, and just things on a cosmic scale. I like thinking about things that make me feel like I am smaller in the universe. I like the ocean and its vastness and how just incredible and huge and majestic it is, because it makes me feel like that small person. And feeling like that small person helps me feel like I have a handle on things. And it gives me that perspective that no, the world doesn't revolve around me and the universe doesn't revolve around me. I'm much smaller than that. And so it helps me stay in control of myself and my thoughts. And one of the things I always think about is, what if there is a star somewhere and that star exploded, some kind of giant supernova, and all of that matter and all of those particles have flown out into the universe. And in some way, part of that star made it inside of me as a person. And part of that star made it inside somebody else as a person. And so thinking about that connection that you may have with somebody, and that, you know, when you meet somebody and you immediately feel that gravitational pull, you know, and just thinking that maybe that's my star stuff, recognizing your star stuff. And maybe that's what that pull is. You know, maybe it's something familiar that's just been out in the cosmos for millennia that reaches us both. I don't know. I think it's a neat way to think about it and think about those connections. And so I often fall back on that. When I feel really, really drawn to somebody, I always wonder, is that a gravitational pull I'm feeling from something that happened in the universe, you know, hundreds upon thousands or millions of years ago, that ended up here connecting me to this person? And I don't know, I'm the type that has maintained those tight relationships with people, but very, very few people. And it's just kind of something to think about. But as an INFJ, I think we love that abstract thought, and we tend to, no pun intended, gravitate towards it, you know, and just thinking of things in that scale. We're the type that can think about soulmates and, you know, think on this other level, and not just, I like that person, they look cute in that outfit and I want them to be, you know, mine. Like we're more than that, and we're a little deeper than that. The thing is, when it comes to relationships with other people, you want that other person to feel that as strongly as you do. And so you need to ask yourself, and you need to really step back and look at the answer. Do they? Does that other person feel that way just as you do? Or is there something else at play? And is it your intuition and your external feeling kind of playing a trick on you? We're empaths, people, and we're pleasers. And sometimes it is very difficult for us to determine if we are objectively being loved in return in the way that we're loving another person. That's where we get into trouble. So let's have a quick discussion about intuition, right? I have a box and it's got cards in it. Your intuition is very much like this. Little puzzle pieces and little facts, little parts of things and information. And as I go through mine, it's like, do you remember that day that you told somebody you love them and it was not returned, right? Yes, I do. Another puzzle piece. Remember the depression you felt when your love was unrequited? Yeah, I feel that too, right? Another puzzle piece. You didn't handle that well, did you? No, I really didn't, right? And these are all little pieces of intuition, little facts, little things that it has come up with over the course of your entire life that it's cataloging, just like this. And it's filing away. And regardless of where you are and what you're doing in your life, your intuition is working through all this stuff. These are all of your life experiences, right? It's the things that you've encountered, the things that you've seen, perceived, absorbed from life, facts about circumstances and experiences, really everything. And intuition's constantly looking at these and rearranging them and throwing them around into different orders or whatever, and just trying to make sense, gathering some together that are on topic with each other, et cetera, et cetera. It's always at work, kind of like your internal librarian, so to speak, organizing the information, putting it together in ways that hopefully make some sense. And so your intuition and your feeling, your external feeling, get together. And when you are smitten with somebody, it makes like a little idealistic baby right? Right there. Little idealistic babies everywhere, where your intuition is like, remember these things and how you felt, and it felt so good. And your feeling is like, this person makes me feel really good. And I like the way I talk to them, and I like the way they look, and I like the way they speak, and so on and so forth. And intuition and feeling are just kind of taking all of this kind of stuff over. But you know who's not invited to the party? Logic. Logic is not, oh, poor logic. Never invited to parties. Like, it's the kind of, his logic is like the little introvert in your own mind that's just like, yeah, I don't want to go to that party. That's those feelers and that intuition. Like, you guys are weird. And so logic doesn't get invited. And then you start to idealize a relationship that you're in or a circumstance that you're in. And that's where you start to get into a little bit of trouble. That TI, that internal thinking, that logic, that's the conductor on the train in a way. It's the guy that has the ability to yank on the brake, slow everything down, and be like, whoa. This train is running away. You're going off the rails with what you're going through. And we need to provide a check on this. And so how do we check that? What do we do? Or what's our thought process? Or what can our thought process be in order to slow everything down and look at a situation in such a way where you're not running away with your own thoughts, and you're not over idealizing, and you're not spending all of that time just swallowed up in wanting something so bad, even if there are some flags that you probably should pay attention to. So we understand how this is working. Intuition and feeling are kind of getting together. You're pulling into those past experiences, and you're coloring it through a lens of empathy and feeling something that this other person is making you feel, and you're absorbing that. And that has that tendency to run away. And so logic is your check. So what are some of the things that we can do to pump the brakes, right? So I wrote a couple down, and I just want to kind of go over these, and I'll put it up in like some text too. How do we handle this, right? How do we stop ourselves from over idealizing something, from staying sane, but still allowing ourselves to fall in love and to let the boundaries down a little bit and to accept somebody else, just not in a dangerous way and not in a way that's going to get us run over. First one, that's on my list. Acknowledge how you feel. Don't deny it. If you are feeling something for that person, it is okay to be like, all right, look, I fell in love, right? And I'm in love with that person, and that's where I am. I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm not. And, because that leads to all sorts of other behaviors where you're in that state of denial, and then you're going to start wrecking yourself because you're denying it. You just can't help it. So just be upfront about it. All right. I'm smitten, right? I'm into this person. And then here we go. It doesn't mean to be all like super flirty. I mean, you can get a pen just like this one, a very smooth mustache pen that even goes like this. Ready? Well, hello there. I know, it's kind of nice. So you don't have to be like all cheesy, corny, flirty with that person. It's self-identifying, all right? Not outwardly identifying with, I'm in love with you, and like holding up the boombox and the whole thing. Like, let's not go there. It's that accepting, like, all right, look, this is how I feel. And that's all there is to it. And all right, I'm going to step back and not let that run away and just kind of treat this as a fact. The fact is, I'm in love, period. That's step one. Step two, understand the fact that your NI and your FE are not there to make logical decisions. It's not their wheelhouse. It's not what they're for. Remember, they're getting together and making little idealistic babies, right? And then those little idealistic babies are turning into huge intuition feeling monsters. And those intuition feeling monsters are going to scare you, and they're going to affect the way you do things and how you react and act. None of that has to do with logic. All of that has to do with absorbing the emotions and empathy from others and coloring it, in terms of your past experiences. And that is going to deeply affect how you feel. That's going to change your FI in a big way. Third thing, objectively look at this. Are you making excuses for that other person? How can you really tell if that star stuff that is shining in you is the same star stuff that is shining in them? Are you in denial about it? Are you doing things to sacrifice when you're not getting sacrifices in return? Are you changing your behaviors? Are you just accepting? Are you saying things like, well, they just don't love the same way I do? Or they just don't like it when I do these things. And maybe that is something that you can improve upon for sure. But if you're the one that's making all of those strides to change, and then you really listen to yourself, and you're making all of the excuses for the other person as far as you not getting what you want out of the relationship, maybe that star stuff isn't in them. It's just something to consider. Related to this, when there are gaps and there's something missing, you're in a relationship with somebody or what have you, or you're just starting that. Are you filling in the missing gaps with what is in your own head, or are they filling in the missing gaps? So if you think to yourself, what I really need is time with somebody, spending time together, and meaningful time where we can sit and we can talk over a cup of coffee for an hour or what have you, normal couple type stuff. If you're not getting that, are you filling it in? And are you trying to make up that ground all on your own? Does that person know that you have this desire, but still it just doesn't matter? They're not going to change the way they are. So are you the one trying to artificially create these situations, and drag them through it? In which case, what are you doing? You're either manipulating somebody, which you shouldn't do, or you're ignoring the fact that you're not getting your needs met. And neither of those are really all that great. So it is important to step back and look at it in this objective way to say, okay, am I getting what I need? Is this idealized feeling that I have? Is this smitten, punch-drunk love feeling that I have, is it real? Or am I making things happen? Am I tricking myself? Is my own brain saying, no, it's this, and no, don't, they're just like that, or no, they don't do things that way. And you end up just coming up with all these excuses and excuses and excuses to let them get away from the things that you need out of a relationship. And I think it's really tough if we do that to ourselves, because we're just fooling ourselves in a lot of ways. So the last thing on the list is just step back. I mentioned this before in a prior video. I forget exactly which one it was, where it's nice to look back and look at yourself almost in a mirror, as if you are out of your body, having an out-of-body experience, and you can see yourself like you're in a movie and see yourself with that other person. Because then you're stepping out of that self and you're able to look at that with the tools that you have as a sweet INFJ. You have that ability to really hone in on empathy. Use it, right? Use it. Look at yourself as a third person and look at the person that they are with as that other person and say, okay, I'm watching these two interact, and this one that looks suspiciously like me is constantly excusing the behavior of this other person. Why is that happening? And I'm not being rude about it. That person is articulating their needs, but those needs aren't being met. So their behavior is this and this and this to try and make up for it, and to try and be both ends of the relationship, because you are very attached and smitten with that other person. It's just a consideration that maybe that isn't right, and maybe that's not the real thing. On the flip side, maybe it is. Now, look, I mentioned in the beginning, I want you to watch the other videos, because the other videos bring this all together. Self-confidence. It is something that you need to have to be able to be healthy and stay sane when you're falling in love. Because if you don't have self-worth, you're just going to get run over. Setting boundaries. That is something you need. That was the second video. And that's something you need to establish. And you need to make sure are respected, and you're respecting other people's boundaries as well. Because if you can't do that, again, you're just going to get run over. You're going to get so run over by that freight train of intuition and feeling that you're going to miss the fact that something isn't right for you or is a potentially dangerous relationship for you. That third one, living with gratitude, right? Being grateful every day. That lets you appreciate the little things. So you recognize the behavior in that other person. Maybe that other person is the type to just do that little extra thing for you. You know, that maybe it's a phone call right when you need it. Maybe it's picking up a little gift for you on their way home. It could be any of those small gestures that make a huge difference for you. And recognizing that, having gratitude and recognizing that really helps you understand logically that the relationship that you're in is a two-way street. In that last video, stop apologizing for everything. It's kind of like that negativity when you do that, and you want to eliminate that negativity of always being sorry and sorry and sorry. All you're doing is just knocking yourself down over and over and over again. So those 4 videos that were prior in this series are really important for this one, because you can't keep that sanity and you can't look at things logically and have those boundaries and have that confidence and stop with your negative self-talk. You can't do all those things to be balanced in a romantic relationship if they're just not there. And so that's how we keep our sanity, but we can still fall in love, is we look at things logically. We understand our life, and we understand that we are meaningful, and we understand that we need to be respected and that other person needs to be respected. And we're able to recognize the little things that they do and how that interplay really works. And we can tell if we're making excuses, and we can tell if it's all one way and we're picking up the slack. We're lifting our own romantic load and we're carrying their romantic baggage as well, because we just for some reason want to drag that person along. Maybe it's not right, you know? So thank you for watching this one. I greatly appreciate it. I hope this entire series has been good for you and really enlightening in some ways. I just want to get you to think. That's all. And so I'll be back again very soon with another video. I'm going to move away from the series and try and touch on some other stuff. I'll leave with you with a final one. Well, hello there. I don't know. It's kind of cool. I've had this pen for a long time. So, and hey, hope you like the outfit today. I appreciate you very much. I'm so glad you're watching. I'm so glad you're here and part of this community. Big things are coming, and I appreciate you. Thank you